Hi everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist. I haven't been here for a while. Thanks for hanging in there with me and coming back to my channel. I had oral surgery a week ago, but was having problems before that, and now I have stitches in my mouth that are coming out in about a week, so I wasn't really comfortable making YouTube videos. Been trying not to do too much talking, but it's really starting to heal up, and I felt well enough to come and do a video today, and I just kind of wanted to show you what I was working on while I was under the weather. I know we all have times when we're just too tired to craft or just aren't feeling well. A lot of you, I've seen posts that you have chronic illnesses. A lot of the time you don't feel well. So you might get some ideas here from some of the things that I worked on because I still wanted to continue crafting. The main thing that I did was I decided to take a class for myself. I teach a lot of classes, and most of what I do I come up with on my own. I didn't really have the brain power for that. And I've mentioned before how much I love Amity Bloom, and so I decided to take one of her teachable classes. And this album I made from the Amity Bloom Artist in Bloom class. I'm going to put the link below, and I highly recommend this. It looks so complicated, but it really isn't. It was tons of fun, and the price she's charging right now, she could charge twice what she's charging. It's a very, very fair price for the techniques that you learn. She talks about collaging and painting and how to use fabric and fabric hinges, and you just learn so much. It's so worth it. And I love the way it turned out. I love the tactile feel of it. I tried to make it pretty similar to hers. Obviously, I don't have the same products that she does, and my vintage ephemera is a lot browner than hers. I buy stuff primarily from the 1800s, and it's a lot browner. Hers tended to be more of this tone, like a cream color. So my book definitely looks a little different in terms of the hue, but I'm okay with that. I love this. I suggest that when you take a class, you try to mimic the teacher's method as much as possible the first time. So that's what I did here, and it pretty much looks like hers actually. And this is going to be my prototype, and now I'll take everything I learned and I will scrapologist it and start using these techniques to make my own style of book. But I do suggest that the first time around you try to make it like the teacher. Her class was so well laid out in terms of steps. I didn't have to keep, with some classes you have to pause and rewind and go, what did she just say? And she gave you lots of freebies, and the steps were just laid out. I just followed right along. I paused it occasionally, but never had to go back and rewind and re-listen. She's just a very good teacher. I also think I heard her say that she's only 19 years old and she's putting herself through college. So, wow. She's this creative already. I can only imagine what she's going to be when she gets as old as I am. Unfortunately, I wasn't focused on crafts when I was 19. I was totally into my piano playing. But why wouldn't you want to support that? A 19-year-old who's so incredibly creative and sharing her love with everybody and putting herself through college. This is such a great community. Let's click the link below and head over and buy her class. You cannot go wrong. So I'm just going to flip through really quickly the book. Obviously, I can't tell you how it was put together. That would be unfair. But this is the front cover. It's super interactive. So this is the front cover, and then this is the back cover, and it's also interactive. And then in the center, you have kind of your standard junk journal stuff. So the front cover of mine turned out like this. And in this belly band, I'm not going to show every detail, but in this belly band, this is something that we found. You can see the nail holes. This was nailed under the sheetrock to the original plaster and lath in our house that we're restoring, and they're all labeled on the back in pencil. So I thought these are the something gardens in Florence. And so I thought that that looked really cool in here. This is a neat album for using bits of ephemera that you maybe didn't know what to do with before. She teaches a lot about collage, about fabric hinges. I was really happy to be able to use some fabric that I had found. And then this is the front cover continuing. There's an envelope pocket here, and that flips open, more collaging, some painting, and there's like a little mini book in here, little mini junk journal. And then, oh, I was so happy to be able to use this vintage fabric that I found at an antique store. It's so beautiful, and I was able to cut it so that it has this gorgeous border on the bottom. So I decided to make my primary tone. The primary tones in this are cream and brown from my dark ephemera, but in terms of accent colors, I wanted to have blue be the accent color since I wanted to use this fabric. And I was so happy that I was able to display a whole page of it. I don't know if I'll put anything on here, but it's so pretty. So that's the cover, and then you get in just to the regular junk journal stuff. I'll just flip through really quickly. The sewing, this is another thing. If sewing intimidates you, you don't have to sew to take her class. She shows you how to do the class without sewing. I wanted to put some of the things through my sewing machine, so I did, but you don't have to. The other thing I love is that there's not a lot of measuring. She just kind of sets things down, tears it, glues it, and doesn't measure things, and I love that. Another piece of vintage fabric that I found recently. It had some blue tones in it. And I was able to find some spots for some of that vintage ephemera that I found at the yard sale I did a video about recently. More collaging, fabric ruffle at the bottom, some painting and stamping. She has a nice flip through of her book too. Just some more ephemera that I put in the center. I know I'm going through really quickly, but you know, just the typical of that. It's the other nice thing, you don't have to have any special supplies. This really gets rid of, especially with the collaging. Where's one of those collage sheets? It really helps to get rid of any ephemera that you have laying around. You know, where did it go? I can't find it now. But that's okay. This is one of the freebies from my the video previous to this that I gave to you all from the farm book, and it looks really nice in here. Then I got to use more of that fabric. How beautiful is that? And then you have the back cover. So actually, it just happened to turn out that I ended up with this vertical stripe here too. Oh, it's just so perfect. I love touching it. And then here's the back cover that's interactive. Fabric pocket. Here's a pocket here. Another pocket here. And then the back cover. That's what the spine looks like on mine. And it just feels so nice in your hand. It's like I said, it's so tactile, so many things to touch and feel, and it just draws you in, and it makes you want to journal in here and to put things in. So I think you'll really enjoy it. I would walk, not run. Click the link below and take her class. You will learn so many things, and you'll support a lovely human being, a fellow artist. So I wanted to show you also really quickly, you know, we all have those times when we don't feel well, but we still want to craft. And so I wanted to show you some of the things that I did while I was recuperating. Let's call them couch crafts, things that you can do on this sofa when you don't feel great. This is another thing idea that I got from Nazi at Amity Bloom. She makes these pockets with piano roll paper, and I tried making them with vintage book pages, and they turned out really, really nicely, and I sell these now in my shop. But one of the things that I do is I put on them vintage quotes from vintage book pages. And so what I did was I just took an old book of poetry and started just took my scissors and started cutting different quotes. Now, it's hard to do unless you have a book of poetry because otherwise you kind of have to scan. You have to do a lot of reading before you find something, a sentence or two, that's going to be something that you want to put on a piece of ephemera. So I have several poetry books that I bought, and you just really can just start snipping and you're going to find all kinds of cool quotes. This one says, "The outward eye, the quiet will, and the striding heart from hill to hill." And so I just cut out a whole bunch of these, not many. I could have kept going. And then I have a seashell that's kind of special to an occasion that my husband and I went to one time, and I just put my quotes in the seashell. As you can see, I'm completely out, and I need to make some more, but I just keep them in here for when I'm ready for them. The other thing is I did a lot of fussy cutting, and I wanted to show you an idea because everybody seems to know, it's kind of common knowledge that when you go to a thrift store that or a yard sale or something and you come across a garden book or a book of birds or something like that, grab it because there's all kinds of things that you can fussy cut out of those and make journal cards out of and ephemera. But one thing you may not have thought of is picking up art books. Now this is a book that I found at an antique store. It was only $1. Color in Sketching and Rendering. And it's from the 1930s, and it is a book about making art. How to, well, this one is how to stipple, spatter, and splatter, stitches in my mouth. Stipple, spatter, and spray. That's not easy with stitches in your mouth. Oh, but look at this page, for example. These are all things that can be cut out. I thought these were a little too big. I don't know that I'll ever use these large things, but you never know. Right now, I don't have a project in mind for them. I don't know how I would use them, but sometimes things come to me later on. But there were a lot of pages like this. Normally, I do not like glossy pages. These are glossy. I prefer matte, but I like the way these look when they're cut out. So I ended up with a whole bunch of these black and white ones, and they're all hand drawn, which is so cool. So this is different kinds, the forms that different paint can come in. And there was one in here. Here's one on different inks. This one I love. The dimensions of, sorry about the glare, the dimensions of different kinds of paintbrushes. And so I ended up with a bunch of these. And where'd my book go? How nice do these look? Just you can just stick them in pockets, or you can glue them down, and they look really nice in the junk journals. And then I found a bunch of pages like this, and I was cutting those apart too. This is how to obtain texture through penciling, and some of them were longer and some were smaller, but these are all beautiful. Whoops! So I would encourage you to look for art books. You can really find a lot of beautiful, look at these, a lot of beautiful images. These old cottages. These are all chimneys. And here's some garden stuff. Bushes and hedges. How to draw those. How to draw from an old photograph. So these, of course, You back them onto cardstock and you've got a nice journal card. Here's different painting techniques depending on what you do with your brush. These are beautiful. Look at that. These are sediment washes. So I really encourage you to look for art books when you're out looking for more supplies for junk journals. And please go and support Nazi. I can't get this off my desk now. There. Please go support her. You will love this class. You won't regret it. It's worth at least twice the money that you're going to pay for it. And that's all I have today. Hopefully I'm back in full swing. I'm making some things for my shop. I've been a couple of weeks where I haven't been able to make anything for my shop either. So I need to restock my Etsy shop with some supplies. I am making about 4 sets of these are going back in the shop. These usually sell as soon as I get them in, but um, I'm only making about 40 at a time right now. So I'll be getting those in, and I'll post a video when all this stuff is ready. I have some junk journals going in and some other things. But thank you for watching. Thank you for not abandoning me while I was gone. Thanks for coming back after a couple of weeks. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.